Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Listening Mentor. I am the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, and I also teach people how to listen at an elevated level. Joining me is my friend and co-host, the fabulous Caroline HEWARD, joining us from the UK, specifically from London, where she is the Harley Street stress expert, and she helps people deal with their anxiety and their stress. Let's welcome her to the show.
Woohoo! Hello.
Woo! Hello. How are you?
Oh, very good. Always good to see you here on a Friday.
Yes, it is. And we just spent 2 hours together on a course, The Power of Listening. So we are fully ears open, listening, ready to go.
We sure are.
Caroline, I just mentioned in the intro about how you work with people to help them eliminate stress, anxiety, and really get to the root cause of their issue. Excuse me. What can you share with us about this?
Literally, I've been working with chakra psychology, how the mind and body connects physically, emotionally, mentally, behaviorally. When there's an imbalance, that's your symptom. So whether it's physical pain, whether it's emotional pain, whether it's mental pain like stress, anxiety, depression, or behavioral symptoms such as relationship issues or anger management. However it's showing up for you, and that's your symptom, I literally break through what's causing it in the first place. So the originating behavior of what's created the problem, the original cause. I literally bust through that, and you become calmer, and the symptom dissipates and clears. And I love doing what I do. I do what I love. And it's always about moving the person from the pain, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, to peace.
Thank you, Caroline. And would you say it's accurate that sometimes we take a course that is maybe not in our best interest, and as a result of choices we make, we end up bringing anxiety and stress on ourselves?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things for me is technology. So if I have to embark on some new technology, it certainly makes me get very headachy because it's not a comfortable place for me. So I work harder at it to make it right, so that I make it easier for me. And so whenever I do my accounts, for instance, and I have to be poring over receipts and invoices and the computer, I get very headachy and neck pain because it's not my comfort area. So we do have to do things that we don't enjoy doing at times. And those are the times that the stress tells on us. We can't have everything wonderful all of the time. And so it is about recognizing what causes our stress, so that we become more organized at times that we become stressed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I also think it's possible to become very stressed when we feel like people don't like us, or we feel like people are talking about us, and yet we have no control over what someone else is thinking or how they're feeling.
That's a very good point. Yes, because if you're feeling, and we know, we're kind of like we have little antennae, and we do know when somebody's kind of talking about us. We just get a feeling. It's not something that we know for sure we're being told, but we get that kind of inner feeling or knowing, an experience inside. It's hard to describe. Everybody will know this feeling that I'm talking about. And when we walk into those situations, it feels uncomfortable, and that uncomfortableness that we feel dictates our behavior. And then we start to respond and react to something that's kind of invisible or not being talked about. And because we're responding and reacting and feeling that measure and that uncomfortable stress or anxiousness about what the other person might be thinking or feeling, which we know is negative, we feel that it's negative, creates an imbalance in us. And that can be physical, so that can come out in things like rashes, eczema, psoriasis, irritable bowel syndrome. Those are all the physical symptoms, and there's many more. Or it can be, sort of a state of emotional stress or anxiousness, or even a dread of being in that particular situation with that person. So we're all different, we're human, and we all respond to stressful situations in a different way. My advice and my input, my invitation is, even though we know that the person doesn't like us, or it's difficult or it's challenging, is to be in our best space of inner peace. And that is to come out of the mind and connect with your heart through the breath, so that you feel more stable in yourself. And the easiest way to do that is to breathe down into the heart and into the belly, so that you become more relaxed and calm.
Thank you, Caroline. And as you know, on this show, we teach people about listening skills, whether it's listening to your intuition or listening at an elevated level. And to what we're just discussing, when we are someplace, let's say we are at the office, or we're at a networking event, or somewhere where there are other people, we feel someone is kind of pointing and talking about us. And then we sometimes make the effort of engaging with them about it, calling them out on it. And they don't always tell us the truth. We know we heard them talking about us, but yet they're adamant that we didn't hear that. What are your thoughts about that?
The problem is, when somebody's lying, it's really easy to tell. We'll know. And it goes something like this. We can be saying, I just have to get my head in gear. I really, really am happy to see you. I really would like to engage with you in this project. So my head is doing one thing. So my head is definitely saying, no, I'm not interested. But my voice, my words are saying something else. When you're actually engaged and looking at the person, and you're seeing this disconnect with communication, so the body language is saying one thing, but the words are saying another, we tend to believe the body language, and that's the right way to be. How do we get over that? Well, really, I would suggest calling them out, because it's obvious. The body has never learnt to lie. We've learnt to be economical with the truth, or to not say the truth in terms of our words, because that's society and that's our norm. The body's never learnt to lie, and it can't.
Thank you, Caroline. We're going to take a look at a role play, and I always have to give this disclaimer. This is a role play that I directed. Caroline happens to be in it, and so are some other team members. So please, just when you're watching it, realize that I said, please do this, please do that, so that we could actually have something for people to look at. So let's take a look at this role play. We'll watch it the first time. We'll have a chat about it, as always, and then we'll watch it a second time. Here you go. This is called Talking and Lying.
Caroline, how are you? I haven't seen you for so long. Where have you been?
Oh, I've been busy working. It's been fun. It's been, I have something to tell you. That Janetta. Have you heard what she's been up to?
No.
And yeah, well, it's all over town what she's been doing. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to gossip, but I just it's kind of taking my mind out of what we're doing.
Tell me, what is she doing? What? I can't imagine. I heard that maybe she was selling stamps.
Oh, even worse. And Mariska's in on it as well. Mariska's doing some things with clients that I'm a bit surprised about.
So it's not selling stamps. She's selling something other than stamps. What could it be like?
Well, let's I think we need to talk, privately.
Wow.
Hey, Mariska.
Oh,
Hi,
Janet.
hello. How are you, Janessa and Mariska?
I'm sure I overheard my name. Were you guys talking about us?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
we
heard
were just
you
talking about how great your clients are.
I mean, we're here. You might as well tell us and ask us, because I heard some strange things. What's this all about?
Oh, no. It's we were just saying how great you are, and how great your clients are, and the work that you're doing. We were just applauding you.
Oh yeah. Why would we ever talk anything against you? Do you have anything that you might be hiding, perhaps?
Well, nothing that I'm aware of. I did hear something about stamps. What was it about stamps?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
heard
know.
stamps.
Tell me more.
You heard stamps. Yeah, I heard stamps, and I heard something about clients, and I mean, I'm open to constructive criticism. So if you've got anything to say, I mean, say it to us, because we'll
Oh
be very.
no, it was all positive. You're amazing, you girls. Everything was positive. We were just
Absolutely. We have high record. I always recommend when a client comes to me and says, do those two girls work well, with the collection? I always say, absolutely. Would I ever go, the opposite way and think naughty things about stamps.
I can't help but laugh.
That was definitely a fun one. So, what did you think while you were doing the role play that you had been tasked with talking about other people behind their back? How did you feel about it?
It left me with a very uncomfortable feeling, and I felt that it showed, that I was, oh no. It was forced for me to do it, and it felt uncomfortable in terms of my inner feeling about it, because I wouldn't be like that. If I had something that I was challenged with, I would speak to the person. I just wouldn't talk about them like that. And it was difficult to do from that perspective, from my own authenticity, and the uncomfortableness of them blatantly lying was also not so easy either. Oh no, I wasn't saying anything. Oh no, it was, and I was kind of, oh no. My head was kind of all over the place, and I did feel it wasn't a comfortable one to do. And you could see the seriousness of the faces of Mariska and Janetta. I wasn't kind of looking when I was doing the role play, but I could now I'm looking at it, I can see the disconcerting experience that they were showing more on their faces than what they were saying.
Interesting, yes. And I noticed also in the role play, I have to keep saying that, in the role play, that Sarah was sort of baiting you, hey, tell me more. And this happens in real life. Someone mentions something about someone else, and the other person could just drop it right there. But instead, they kind of like, yeah, let me pull it out of you. Tell me. And then now they're engaged in this conversation. And so, of course, then we have the two people being talked about. They happen to show up, and they could hear, they were just coming up upon the two of you and heard what you're saying. And then when questioned about it, oh no. So what do you think that does to a relationship when you're caught lying?
Well, there's a lack of integrity and authenticity within the relationship and within the communication. And when there is a lack of integrity, it will show. It's like sort of the bit in the middle that is not being talked about, but it actually shows, and it makes both people feel uncomfortable. It's kind of the bit that's hidden that's actually being seen. And so it doesn't bode well for good relationships and for trust, because that's a big thing in terms of working relationships and personal relationships, that trust is a really big deal. And if there's no trust, then the relationship breaks down, whether it's personal or business or emotional. So it's very important to, from my perspective, to be honest, because it's difficult when you're not, because you forget what you've said if you've lied.
And in your experience as a therapist, when someone is caught in a lie, should they just own up to it just right then and there? Or then what happens typically is then there's another lie. One lie begets another lie. And then before you know it, there's a whole fake story. And now, where do you stand? So what's your advice when you get caught lying, like in this scenario?
To own up, really, because it doesn't bode well. Some people find that very difficult. If they've taken a different scenario, if somebody's broken something, if there's like sort of say 4 people within a family home and somebody's broken something. I remember when I was very young, it was nobody broke it. So my dad used to say, "Oh, the green man broke that." The green man left the door open. He would have like a bit of a joke, about, "Oh, it's nobody's fault," "Oh, the green man did that." So we had like a little bit of a fun joke, sort of, it was never anybody that lived there. But, in a business capacity, it happens also. And so it's, it's not so jovial, in the family. We were kind of passing it off, and and because it wasn't so serious. If a cup was broken, it was broken. There was never anybody that owned up to it. But in a business situation, it's very, very difficult, and that's something that I pride myself on, being very authentic, very genuine in my communication. And if I'm not comfortable to work with somebody, then I just don't work with them. If I don't feel that they're authentic to work with, or if I've had some challenges, I will literally withdraw. And I'm in a good position to be able to do that because I work alone in an office situation. That makes things extremely challenging and stressful.
Yes, that it's as though you have to wear so many hats. Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to actually run a clip that we ran this morning. I really think this is so valuable for many people. And I alluded to it earlier today when I saw you. It's from the British School of Excellence. It's actually from a testimonial from one of their students. Let's take a look at this and then we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, my name is Julia and I am here to share with you how I came
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio to the Listening Mentor Show. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK and excited to have you back as this show is all about using role plays to help us understand our own and others' behavior. Let's welcome my co-host, Caroline HEWARD, the Harley Street stress expert. Hi, Caroline.
Hello. What a nice break. All those cakes.
I know. You know, I have to say, when Philip Sykes, the principal of the British School of Excellence, when he was giving us an overview today about afternoon English tea and the etiquette and the history of it, it was fascinating. And I did say to him, I don't understand, how can you consume all of those cakes and stay so slim? So he said there's a lot of walking that takes place.
He's just saying that.
Okay, I was going to say, because I know myself, at least on the weekends, I walk 7 or 8 miles each day, maybe 3 days in a row, and I can't eat any of that, but it looks delicious.
I think he's just super slim anyway. I definitely couldn't do that.
Well, thanks for being real about that. I appreciate it. So for those of you just joining us, today's show topic is talking and lying. And we just watched a role play about talking about other people behind their backs. And then the other people actually happen to walk up and hear the conversation taking place. So Caroline, now that we've watched it, we've had a conversation about it, we're going to watch it again and see if we can pick up anything. And for those of you who are watching this, see how it feels in your body. What's coming up for you? Have you been in this situation in any of these roles? And if so, what are your thoughts about it now, watching someone else act this out? So again, this is a role play. Let's take a look.
Caroline, how are you? I haven't seen you for so long. Where have you been?
Oh, I've been busy working. It's been fun. It's been, I have something to tell you. You know, that Janetta. Have you heard what she's been up to?
No.
And yeah, well, you know, it's all over town what she's been doing. You know, I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to gossip, but you know, I just it's kind of taking my mind out of what we're doing.
Tell me, what is she doing? What I can't imagine. I heard that maybe she was selling stamps.
Oh, even worse. And Mariska's in on it as well. You know, Mariska's doing some things with clients that I'm a bit surprised about.
So it's not selling stamps. She's selling something other than stamps. What could it be like?
Well, let's I think we need to talk, you know, privately.
Wow.
Hey, Mariska.
Hey, Janet.
Hello. How are you, Janessa and Mariska?
I'm sure I overheard my name. Were you guys talking about us?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
we're
heard
just
you
talking about how great your clients are.
I mean, we're here. You might as well tell us and ask us, because I heard some strange things. What's this all about?
Oh, no. It's we were just saying how great you are, and you know how great your clients are, and the work that you're doing. You know, we were just applauding you.
Oh yeah. Why would we ever talk anything against you? Do you have anything that you might be hiding, perhaps?
Well, nothing that I'm aware of. I did hear something about stamps. What was it about stamps?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
heard
know.
stamps.
Tell me more.
You heard stamps. Yeah, I heard stamps, and I heard something about clients, and I mean, I'm open to constructive criticism. So if you've got anything to say, I mean, say it to us, because we'll be very.
No, it was all positive. You know, you're amazing, you girls. You know, everything was positive. We were just
Absolutely. We have high record. I always recommend when a client comes to me and says, you know, do those two girls work well, you know, with the collection? I always say, absolutely. Would I ever go, you know, the opposite way and think naughty things about stamps.
I love that about the stamps. I don't know where she came through with that, but that's okay. So now that we watched it again, what other things did you pick up, if any?
I put myself into the place of Janetta and Mariska, so the ones that were, saying, we've overheard you talking. So I was in my own place to begin with, and this time in their feelings, and it felt uncomfortable because I heard what I heard. I did hear, and now I'm being lied to, and I know I'm being lied to because I did hear, and that's very uncomfortable and will create an anxiousness. If I've overheard somebody. And so I could see Janetta played the part well, actually. Oh, well, you may as well come out with it. You may as well tell us. And I could imagine myself being in her position saying something like that, in that protection space of, well, what's going on? What are you talking about? And it does happen, and it can get out of context because somebody might have been saying something good, but obviously there was a feeling and an inner knowledge that it wasn't good, it wasn't comfortable. And Mariska was equally, sort of shocked. And I've been in that position where I've been talked about, we all have, in different places, different companies, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling. And a feeling of which will bring on inadequacy and not being good enough within your role.
Absolutely. And I think that it would be difficult for us to say we've never lied, never been a white lie. I can think when I've been in different relationships with men, paying for my own shoes, paying for my own bags, paying for my own bills, getting asked the question, is that a new pair of shoes? Is that a new something or other? And because I was always on the defensive, because I knew I'd have to defend why I would buy another pair of shoes, even though it was my money, sometimes I would say, are you kidding me? This isn't new. That's the problem. You don't pay attention to me. So then I would turn it around and put it on the other person, knowing that, of course, they were brand new, and then hating myself even more, not only for buying them, but then for lying about it and putting it back on them.
Well, I had a different strategy when I was married. Because we had a small flat, so it wasn't very big. And if I bought something, it was very obvious. I couldn't hide it very greatly. And so I would say, you'll never guess what, I saved so much money. I saved £50 on these, and I saved £10 on that, and I saved £100 on this. And he would say, Caroline, it's not what you saved. How much did you spend? Oh, no. I saved all this money because I got it in the sale, and I got it on Black Friday, so it was an even bigger sale. And I got it for less than half price. And he said, but you still spent. And I said, and I saved. So I would turn it all around and say, I saved this much money, which he didn't like that at all, because he said, you still spent money.
Still spent the money. I love it. I had a different approach. My approach was I always wanted shoes and bags that were limited in number. So I didn't want to have something that the masses could have. I want to have something that they only made X number of pairs or whatever it was. So I would say, finally, I have to own up to the fact that it was new, right? And I would say, well, you don't understand. Celine Dion has these shoes, or this movie star has this shoe. Who cares? They're like, well, they can afford the shoes. Okay. You cannot and don't need them. And it's funny. I also know of someone who will only buy things that are inexpensive. And as soon as you comment on it, is that new? This was $5. This was only $10. But you bought 10 of them. So now it's $100, whatever the case is. So it is interesting. We're digressing a little bit, but it's also about listening to your intuition and then looking at your own behavior. So in the role play that we were just looking at, the behavior was such that it wasn't something that anybody felt good about. We talked about it after the role play, and it was awkward for all parties. So when we are in a situation, let's talk about the manipulator. Okay, let's talk about the gossiper, the person who starts it. They start talking about the person, and then they sort of rope other people in, and those people have the option to say, oh no, I'm not going to go down this gossip lane with you. Or some people want to be those observers, not saying anything, but eating it all up. So then they turn around and go tell somebody else. So, what has your experience been, either personally or professionally, in these areas?
It's always uncomfortable because through my work, I know that if a person's talking about one person, they're probably talking about me, so I don't like that, and I do my best not to. And we're all human. If we've had a difficult experience, then we do talk about it, because it's sort of called an internal therapy, a human thing that we do if we've had a difficulty that's happened. And so it doesn't ever feel good. And when I come across that situation, sort of in recent years, since I've been doing this work, I tend to not say too much. I tend to be a little quieter and listen, because it's obviously something that they want to say. And when they ask me what do I think about it, I just say, well, it's not been great, and I just have to get on with it. And I do my best not to add fuel to the fire. And it is difficult if you've had a difficult situation. We're all human. It's not my preferred. I prefer to go off and do a meditation, or kind of do something like dance it out or something like that. And at the same time, these situations happen and that they're difficult. And the other thing that I would say is, I would find the person to share something with, and I would say, this is in confidence. I want to tell you something in confidence. Do I have your discretion and confidence? Because sometimes we do need to share things. We do need to say things that have been difficult or challenging. And it's human for us to do that. So it's horses for courses. There is no right or wrong. But if somebody is specifically gossiping, I find that very difficult. And I've actually had people say, what's your opinion of that? What do you think of her? And I tend to sort of bumble around and not really sort of say anything, because I know that if I'm speaking badly about somebody, then everything goes around comes around. So I do my best to be careful about getting into those kind of situations. And we're all human. It happens.
Very smart. Now, to just further discuss a comment that you just made, we've all had this where we've been the one asking, or someone's asked us, Caroline, I have something going on and I really need to talk to you about it, but promise me, please, I need to know you're not going to tell another person. I promise. Hey, did you hear what JACALYN had to say? She asked me to keep it in confidence. I'm asking you, third party, can you keep this between us? And this happens all the time.
It's a very difficult one. And I have been challenged and kept confidences. And it depends on how many good friends that you have, how many besties that you have, and what you share. And I tend to do well in keeping my own counsel, certainly in this last recent time, in terms of the work that I do, because I have to. In terms of the work that I do, I can't share somebody's deepest and most inner secrets because of the confidentiality and discretion that I apply for clients. So I take that into my everyday life. But it is really easy to get drawn in and caught up. And so I tend to listen if somebody wants to say, rather than get involved. And yes, it is very, very difficult, because if the person is breaking a confidence, or if I'm breaking a confidence, how do I know that they're not breaking a confidence for me too?
Very true. I have to say, I was really impressed. I went to someone, this is years ago, to share something, and the person said, whatever you tell me, I'm going to tell my husband, because we don't keep secrets from each other. And I thought, oh, well, I respect that. but I guess I won't be telling you.
Yeah, you need to be extremely careful. I mean, certainly, in terms of my work, I see the two parties of a couple, and I've had, sort of the one of the parts of the couple say, well, he's told me all about the session. He's told me, and I says, well, whatever he's shared with you, I can't now sit here and discuss it and debate it with you, because that's breaking a confidentiality. So I can't do that, and I won't. If he's shared it with you, then that's okay. That's something for you, both of you to discuss, but I cannot discuss what you've shared with each other, because that's my confidentiality agreement with you. And I've been tested, and I don't, because of my work, I don't share it. It is challenging. And if somebody does say, well, I tell my husband everything, or I tell my best friend everything, or my mother everything, or my sister, then, then they're giving you a parameter of that what you're sharing is not going to be kept in confidence.
And that should really be taken to heart. I think something else I really wanted to talk about today when we're talking about body language and how we're coming across. I've known people in my life that when they're talking, they would do certain things that to me, I thought they were lying. So, for example, playing with their necklace, maybe they have on pearls or some kind, and they just keep playing with it, moving. Or while you're talking to them, they keep twirling their hair or touching their nose. And there was a show on here in the States many years ago. I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically how you can determine if someone's lying, that they do little things, touching themselves, not like we talked before about looking away or whatever that might be. But what are your thoughts if someone's clutching their necklace or playing with their hair, touching their nose? What does this indicate, if anything?
When somebody's kind of playing with the necklace, it could just be that they know that it's not quite right, and they can see it on camera, and so they're sort of correcting it. That's like sort of the more practical thing, but it could just be that they're feeling a bit nervous or uncomfortable. And if the necklace is kind of like mine is around the, sort of quite close to the throat area, it could be that they're actually restricting what they are saying or feeling uncomfortable about what they are saying. If they're playing with their hair, then, that is again a nervousness and a distraction mechanism for the person. That doesn't feel comfortable in the situation and in the confrontation or the discussion that they're in. As you can see, I'm very flat in terms of, I don't do a lot of that stuff. Before we come on air, I will just make sure the necklace looks right and it's in place. But I've learnt to be more relaxed in my hand gestures and my, because I feel relaxed, certainly when I was much younger and feeling uncomfortable, I'd be very hand gestury and very playing with my hair and with my earrings. That's another one, when somebody plays with their earring. But it's very noticeable, and also for the person listening, it's distracting as well.
It is. And as you and I know from having been in a course together recently, there are many ways that our distraction, the fact that we are distracted, comes across. And other people, careful observers, can notice these things. The hair is one where people always playing with their hair. We're not talking about being on camera specifically, just in life. We know people like this always playing with their hair for some reason. And obviously it's some form of nervousness or some kind of anxiety. Also, tapping and legs moving back and forth or drumming their fingers. What are some others that you can think of that show that someone's distracted?
Oh, those are good ones. When somebody actually keeps crossing their ankles or their legs, going from one type of crossing to another, or they're sort of kind of sitting back in the chair and sort of, their arms are crossing, and these are all barriers. Somebody's crossing their ankles or their legs and they're going over their knees or their ankles. It's these are gestures of being closed and protection. And so when the body physiology is open, then there is much more open communication. And so by somebody literally just, sort of doing this at a point of topic and conversation, that they're just shutting themselves down, that they're being very close to the aspect and the topic that's being discussed. Because you will find that sometimes that people will kind of sort of stretch out. I mean, I've certainly seen some men do this, really kind of, stretch out. And this is a very common thing that the alpha male will do. And this is a protection, that, sort of they become expanded and it widens the chest. And so it's a sign of, I don't feel comfortable, so I'm going to protect myself. And they're not saying it, it's simply in their physiology. Also, if somebody kind of moves in and kind of, sort of all cocks their ear to you, that means that they're coming forward, they're leaning in to listen more because they're interested. I've certainly seen where somebody kind of cocks their ear to one side. I do that quite a bit because I'm really listening. And then there's others that literally will turn away and look, all over the place, apart from in your eyes. I call that rolling their eyes. But doing anything apart from being connected with you. There are many, many different ways that we can show our distraction. But when we're fully present, there is no shifts of body language or physiology. The person becomes relaxed with you and those crossings don't happen.
Thank you for sharing those pointers. They're great. And I love what you just said, because I think it's true. You and I are used to listening to people. We both do that for our professions. And I feel quite relaxed when I'm in this role. I don't feel nervous. I might feel nervous about technology, like you mentioned that. Will the technology work? But in terms of the actual engagement with other people, I like to hear what other people have to say. I like to listen, whether it's something I agree with or believe with, it doesn't even matter, because I love to be curious and learn. But other people do not feel that way. And they immediately put up walls as soon as they hear something being said they don't agree with. And I've even seen this, and we've seen this recently in a meeting, where people cannot sit still in their seat. They've got to get up, they're walking around, they're going through their bag, they're looking at their phone because they just can't concentrate.
That's because we live in a very distracted world right now. And that's not something that, you and I grew up with. We grew up in a world that was, the children played and we got dirty and we weren't videoed and photoed with everything that we did. But there is so much social media and distraction of communication that we've forgotten to literally be in the moment that we're in, be present in what we're doing. And there are many people that actually are having dinner, for instance, and they're in their phones, or they're in a meeting and looking at their emails in their phone, or looking at notes that they've made for the next meeting. And it's really obvious because the person who's running the meeting can see that they're not with them. If they're not with them, then they're not in the meeting, and they will lose concentration because they cannot listen if they're distracted doing other things.
And to your point, as we close out the show already, it's amazing, is that all of these things, the behavior that we demonstrate, what we're saying, what we're not saying, how we're showing up, at what our body language is telling people, that goes to our character and how people perceive us, and whether or not they want to work with us, whether they want to get to know us, or if they're able to say, you know what, she looks very closed off, she seems to have an attitude, I'm not even going to go there.
It's very true. It's what I call the unspoken communication, the non-verbal communication. We're giving off all sorts of communication without actually saying anything, by literally how we're reacting and responding with our body language, with our gestures, our eyes, our expressions, our physiology. That's having a whole dialogue that the other person is actually picking out without even knowing anything. But, somebody's kind of like this, that the person is uncomfortable, that the person that is like this is literally not aware that they're being like that. And it's sort of like the unspoken communication is what every party actually hears and understands. So it's not just what you're saying, it's how you're being, how you're speaking, your tonality, your voice, because you can say something really nicely, but actually the body language is saying something that's not so nice. And you can pause in the right places to actually make it an unpleasant comment, and your tone can change, whether it's received as a compliment or an uncomfortable comment. So everything is up for grabs in terms of communication. We're communicating all of the time, even when we're on a call. You can pick up the call, and if you're not smiling and if you're feeling quite angry, the other person picks up that you're not feeling happy and that you're quite angry.
Absolutely. It's like, why did I make this call, right? Carolyn, would you please share with our audience the services that you provide and about your offer for a stress buster consultation?
I provide literally bust your stress consultations. So if you have anything you're complaining about, whether it's physical, back pain, neck pain, headaches, sleep problems, whether it's mental in terms of anxiety, stress, depression, whether it's emotional, sadness, loneliness, heartache, or behavioral, whether it's in your relationships, whatever it is that you're complaining about that's not working for you is actually our stress. And sometimes we say we're not stressed, but our dialogue is talking about all these different things. And so whatever you are complaining about, whatever you're feeling stressed about, reach out. Contact me on my email, NoMoreStress@live.co.uk. I will look at during a 30-minute free stress buster Zoom or Skype consultation call, and I will find the root cause of what's creating your stress. You will literally feel alleviated, liberated from the stress that you feel during the call, and you will gain an incredible night's sleep. It is my gift to you. Reach out and let me know what's wrong, what you want help with, and let's schedule a time that works for you and for me.
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's been a pleasure. Another educational session. We'll be back next week with another role play and more discussion about effective communication and elevated listening. Until then, please do join us for our next show. It's Loving Longevity, followed by the Pet Psychic Amina. So we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.